I don't know if you responded to say yes to this, but I'm going to send it to you anyways, and I'll probably just keep it. So, QL stuff. So there's a lot of glutes that are going to be involved, some IT band stuff that ties into how your QL and like low back are going to be doing. So we'll be undoing a lot of stuff like in that area as we go. To start off, cat-cows are great. I'm going to do that just to have that continuity with the video. So again, just shoulders over the wrists, pushing out of the shoulder sockets a little bit so you're straightening out the elbows. Hips stack over the knees. You can have your toes untucked or tucked under you, like if you want them tucked, untucked, whatever. So cat-cow. Start with the inhale, dipping the belly into cow. So when you're ready, inhale, dipping the belly, pulling the shoulder blades away from the ears as you look up towards the ceiling. Taking a slow exhale, pushing through the hands, pushing your upper back towards the sky like a cat. Staying in the exhale. Inhaling to cow again, so dipping the belly, looking up towards the ceiling. Exhale, pushing the upper back to the sky, rounding the belly button towards your chin. And then inhale back to tabletop. So you can do that however many times you want, so you can pause it, whatever. Next, we'll be coming into a couple of child's pose, little rocks. So we're going to be staying in child's pose for only a little bit. So big toes come to touch and your knees go out wide. Then you sink your hips back towards your heels. So you take a step on them, sit down, and your arms just reach out. And you can take a few breaths here. And then we're going to be doing a little bit of a rock up. So we're going to be placing a little bit more firmness in our palms, taking an inhale to look towards the hands. And then we're going to, on the exhale, lift up through our legs and pulling up through our arms at the same time. Just rocking forward slightly. You can straighten out to however much you want. You don't have to go super low if that feels weird to your low back. Then exhale, taking the seat back on the heels. One more time like that. So inhale, pulling up. You can rock forward onto your knees. If you'd like, you can brace your low back by squeezing your glutes just slightly, and then letting that low belly sink a little lower to the ground, pushing out of the chest as well. Again, keeping the glutes tightened just slightly. And then inhaling to unwind a little, and then exhale, taking the seat back into the child's pose. We're going to inhale, taking the right hand, and then exhale, landing the right hand outside of the mat. Taking another inhale and reaching the left hand, and then exhaling, landing the left hand on top of the right, and then anchoring that left hip back down to the heel. You can take a super long time if you like in this, because this feels super good. Letting release come up. You don't have to be in any strict posture here. When you're ready, you take an inhale to bring the hands both back to center, and then we'll do that the same side. So left hand goes out first, right hand lands on top of the left. Exhaling, sinking that right hip back to the right heel. Releasing under the rib cage, through the top of the scapula. That armpit area, you'll feel that stretch. Remembering to breathe deeply. And slowly release, exhale. And again, stay there as long as you like. You can inhale back to center. We'll come up off of the hips. We're going to take it back to cat-cow just for a second. If you want, you can kind of shake out your hips if you feel like that was a lot on your inner thighs and hip flexors. Then you'll come into crisscross position. If you can't get to the crisscross position because your hips are still super tight, if you have a block, you can just sit directly on it. You can use 2 blocks as well if you put 2 side to side. Got a bigger sitting partner. So tucking, if you sit on the block, it just gives your hips a little bit more space so that like the tops of your hips can breathe a little, and then your glutes are not as strained. So, but you still want to keep those heels as close to your pelvis, so that helps you bring your weight out of that low belly, so that it does still give that space to your low back. So personally, if you feel like you have really tight hips, I would really just sit here for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. I'm not going to sit here with you for it. You can pause this and then keep going when you feel ready. But instead, before going forward, if you feel like you need to sit like this, I would sit like this for about a minute. Even 30 seconds is okay, but like about a minute is really good for you to just take your breath in, slow, just like we were doing. Exhale to release. Inhale to lift out of the belly. Exhale, slow to release. Do it however long you want. So from the non-block position, we're still going to keep our feet pretty much in the same spot. Hips, same thing. So we're going to take some inhales to lift our arms up towards the sky. Your palms face together, hands, eyes between them. We're going to take an exhale. I'm in my right hand down and then reach my left hand over to the right side. Again, with that anchoring, so keeping the left hip down towards the ground. You can take a few breaths here. Again, taking those longer controlled breaths instead of the like jumpy inhale, because that can cause a little bit more strain in your muscles and could potentially cause like a spasm. Not to like freak you out, but it's just like a little bit of guidance. Just be like, hey, slow inhale, slow exhale. No reason to rush something that helps you feel more open and relaxed. So again, inhaling up towards the center. Then this time, left hand drops, right hand reaches over to the left side. If you feel that right hip coming off the mat, you can just exhale, anchor that right hip back down. You can even decrease the stretch a little to just anchor back down, and then reach over. Oh, yeah, for me, this side feels a lot tighter. You can inhale back to the center. Again, same thing. Pause if you'd like to, but I'm going to keep going with some other things. So next we're going to come a little bit longer onto our mat. Right now I'm just doing some windshield wipers with my feet. Kind of helps warm up the outsides of my hips. Like by using a little bit of these muscles that surround the IT band, it helps warm up the muscles and stretch out the IT bands a little bit while being a passive thing, and it also helps get energy moving out of your hips, out of your feet, out of your legs. You can even like do little massagey kind of things, just kind of squeezing your thighs, squeezing them around the knees, not like grabbing them, but you can kind of just help wiggle things along. It just feels really nice. It helps warm you up. So next we're gonna be stretching a little bit into our hamstrings right now, really light. Here I like to do a little scoot, so I just grab like my extra glute muscle or skin and just scoot them out from underneath my sit bones so I can sit a little taller. Again, if you need that more space, same thing. You can sit on top. Just be careful of not scrunching this way, because it can put a little bit more strain on the sciatic nerve, and just ideally you don't want that. It can cause just a lot of discomfort and pain. So I personally, again, if you feel like you need this, you can just pause for a little bit and give yourself a little bit of space. You can brace your hands down behind you or by the side. And then just slowly, when you find that it's okay during those little wiggles, to release back down, then we do that. And then you can come into the hamstring. So, hamstrings. Again, scoop the meat out from underneath, the muscle from out from underneath. And we're gonna inhale, push out of that low belly. I give myself a little hip flexor massage, the top of my hips, because they feel a little bit tight. And then we're gonna exhale, reaching our hands forward. You can tiptoe walk to grab a foot or an ankle, a calf, wherever you are. If you're right here, that's totally fine. Just giving your hamstrings some space. So not collapsing into the low belly, keeping that spine straight, and then just inching yourself a little bit more. Remembering to breathe, and it doesn't have to remain in your body as long as you think. Again, you can try that little bit of rocking side to side. It really helps, at least for me. So, okay. So we're gonna come out of that hamstring stretch. Again, if you want to just give yourself some space, I feel like I need it. So I'm just gonna do some little swishies. Okay, and then I also just feel like I want to loosen up my glute muscles first. So I'm kind of just like butt wiggling myself down to a better spot on the mat. And it just feels good to get that kind of massage. So we are just going to be on our back. Feet are, the soles are on the mat, like knees bent up, pointing towards the ceiling. Your arms can kind of go anywhere. I like to bring them out to like almost a 45-degree angle on the outside of the mat. And then I'm going to inhale and brace my core. So I'm going to be tipping the top of my pelvis towards the back of the mat. So my low back is going to be tipping to touch the full back of the mat. It is a posterior pelvic tilt. It also gives your low back just a little baby stretch. So bracing the core, tilting the top of the pelvis down towards the mat. We're going to pull the knees inwards. And then here, you can always start here with wrapping your arms around your shins. You can rock side to side. Whatever feels good. I kind of feel like the top of my sacrum is kind of crackly. So I like that feeling. But I know what I really want to do is release a lot more outside glutes and a little bit deeper into this like lower parts of the sacrum. So I'm going to start with like slightly released swishes, just getting a little bit more motion so you can hold onto your kneecaps, and then we're just going to let a little bit of gravity and then like slight gentle like abdomen swishes. You're going to be using slow oblique control the sides of your abdomen to keep the motion moving and slightly controlled, while also, like that, being a little bit fluid. Yep. And then from here, you can just drop your arms down like I did with that 45-degree angle earlier. And then we're just going to be keeping that same slow controlled abdominal movement. And you can start wiggling, keeping the knees together, feet together. So you really want them to stay together like they're glued. Like if your feet can't go all the way out to the outside yet without them coming together, then just stay on the inside until you feel a little bit better about like your abdominal control. Because it takes time to like figure out like, okay, what muscles do I like firing and what muscles are keeping my legs together? And then where can I hold it to like allow a stretch as well? Like to ask those questions when I'm figuring things out muscle-wise for me, because not everybody like fits to the exact same movements, because we all have different skeletons and genetic makeups and all of that kind of stuff. We all have different forms of the same material. So we have to figure out how we move individually. Okay, so I kind of just feel like I want more exterior, so I'll show you kind of like the bigger full circle. So you can just, again, once you feel like you have that abdominal control, you can start doing really, really big rocks. Oh, it feels so nice. Yeah, I'm scooting down the video. So I do really big circles, and usually they're kind of like half circles. I don't do a full one, but I just rock until it rolls out those glutes really well. It's ridiculous looking, but it feels so dang good. Okay, we're almost done. So we're going to pull the right leg up. We're going to land the feet back down. Same thing, knees pointing towards the ceiling. We're going to lift the right. We're going to lift the right foot up and then crossing the right ankle over the left thigh. This is going to be figure 4. So we're going to be pressing the right hand into the inside part of the right thigh and just pushing away from us gently. If you start to feel something in your glute, that's what we're looking for, in your right glute. If you feel good, you can also protect your knee on your right leg, because sometimes it can feel a little insecure. So you can flex your right toes towards your right knee. It's flexing the anterior tibialis muscle, the shin muscle right there, to protect the knee joint a little bit better. Again, if you feel still a little insecure, you can back off. If you want, you can grab a strap or a belt and then just hold yourself in. It'll give you just a little bit more arm length, and you can just hold it a little bit better. Or you can stay on the ground. So we're going to be pulling in. I like to grab the top of the shin. Ooh, that's a little bit too much right now. Again, remembering to breathe in and out, that same control. Laying there would be a little bit of that stretch discomfort. Again, if you feel any sort of nerve, shock type of feeling, you can always back off. You can slow it down. You can release back. You can slowly take your right foot off. We'll do that anyways, so you can find your way back to both knees to the ceiling. We're going to take the left foot now, crossing the left ankle up and over onto the right thigh. Same thing, you can press the left hand into the inside left thigh. Stay there, where you can take an inhale, bring the right knee in while keeping the left crossed over. Oof, this one's a deeper stretch. So again, if that doesn't feel good for you, you can back off. I'm pressing my left elbow into the inside left thigh. Again, a big inhale. This is a very deep stretch on those glutes. That's also, all of this is to get to the QL, because usually the QL starts to tighten up as almost like a last resort type of feeling. A lot of the times when we start to neglect everything else around us, it keeps sending us alarm bells until you get the big guys, the big QLs, start to announce that everybody's locked up and they need some love. So next, I have my legs a lot wider here, so they're still planted, soles on the ground, knees to the ceiling. I'm doing windshield wipers, so I'm dropping both of the knees to either side of the mat in big, wide leg swishes. It feels really good to the outside hip. It's also a little bit of an inner abdomen stretch as well. Same with inner thigh. So it's just getting everything in here nicely, massaged and lightly activated. It also helps with all the stretching. You can do this lots of times in the day or the week. Really helps when you wake up first thing in the morning and when you're going to bed. Just gets things moving and flowing so that you have proper rest and proper rising. So again, you can pull the knees back into the chest if you want to give yourself one last little squeeze with your arms. And when you're ready, we're going to rock ourselves up and down the mat. So you can grab the backs of the thighs, and then we're going to take a big inhale, lifting the hips a little. Then exhale, swing the ankles and heels down. And then you can just rock and roll as many times you'd like. It's kind of fun, so I just do it. It's also giving you a nice little massage of the QLs. So you can come up to a seat. Back forward. So we're gonna go back to that first one that we did when we were sitting like this. So we should be like nice and like warmed up, opened up, and not feel so much tightness in the hips and all of that kind of stuff. So we're gonna go back to it. This time we're gonna add a little bit more. So we're gonna inhale, arms come up, same thing, palms face together, eyes through the hands. Exhale, that right arm comes down, left arm reaches over, keeping the left hip anchored. And then inhaling, we're gonna sweep the arms forward. And then exhale, land the left hand down, right arm swishes overhead. And same thing, inhaling, sweeping through the center. You should feel this all in that QL now. And inhaling through the center again, swishing over. Right hand should be pointing over the body. Left hand is down on the ground. Inhaling, sweeping through the center with both arms. Right hand lands on the mat. Left arm reaching overhead. And then here, I kind of just bring myself slowly back to center on an inhale. I typically feel like I'm good and done, and like I just need to add a few more little twists in here to just really set it up for success. So, last thing I do is supine twist. It is very easy, and yeah, it just feels good. So we're gonna bring the knees into the chest one more time on an inhale. Exhale, we're gonna drop the left leg down first. Just extend it all the way out to the end of the mat. Exhale, we're gonna take the left hand, grab the outside of the right knee, right arm stretches out to a T on the ground outside the mat. And then that, again, taking an exhale, if you had to take another in, then that's good. Exhale, that right knee drops outside to the left side of the mat, taking the hips up and over. Your eyes can go over your right arm. Again, remembering to breathe. This one might be really intense for you. You might feel it in your hip, at the outside, in your glutes maybe. You can also take a hand and just kind of guide where you feel like you need just a little bit more of a massage or release. And taking another inhale, exhale, let that right shoulder drop a little further to the ground. This is really good for that upper back as well, which also might be contributing. And then we'll inhale, we're going to take that right knee, pulling it back into the center. Left knee comes in with it. Exhale, we're going to drop the right leg out long. I like to give it just a little shove. My hip flexors are a little tight, so I like to give myself, again, that little wiggle. So, same thing, left arm drops out to the ground outside on the left. The left knee drops outside to the right side of the mat in that twist. Your eyes will go over your left shoulder. Ooh, wow, I'm glad I did this. Okay, I'd love to stay here forever. I'm going to bring us back to center, left knee, and again, you can pause however you want. Just bring one last hug, and then here, if you'd like, you can take that Savasana. You extend everything out. Take 1 to 30 minutes here in Savasana, as long as you'd like. Or just listening to your breath. Letting a thought pass through and then continue on without attaching to it. That's more of the idea of meditation. Instead of removing thought, it is allowing thought to exist without needing reason. And then I'm going to take us out of this. Again, you can pause it, but you can start to bring feeling back into your hands and fingers. Get the sound of little swishes. Then when you're ready, you can come up, back up. You can bend your knees. You can bring them over to one side and then slowly get up with a little slower. Get up. Again, you can do that however long you want. Sometimes your intuition will kind of bring you into or out of a stretch, or even a variation of what I did, or even something added on that you just feel like you want to do. Yeah, there's just a little bit of guidance. You keep taking it where you feel like you need it. Hope you enjoy it.